Tomorrow morning, when institutions start to conduct their business of services, security, and policemen, I hope from everyone who carries a weapon to go to his base and to commit to his division, battalion, or brigade. We will not accept or allow the chaos of arms appearing or firing on the streets at all.
These words, issued by the leader of HTSS, signal the growing presence of jihadist factions in Syria, a new reality for a country already racked by years of civil war. Al-Julani's leadership aims to create a semblance of order, but the question remains whether his group, with its extremist ideologies, can truly bring stability to a country long divided. The fall of Assad's regime marked a turning point for Syria, with widespread international condemnation of the regime's brutality. Western leaders hailed Assad's departure as a victory for the Syrian people, though concerns linger about the nation's future.
At long last, the Assad regime has fallen. This regime brutalized and tortured and killed literally hundreds of thousands of innocent Syrians. The fall of the regime is a fundamental act of justice. It's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria.
Biden's statement captures the sense of relief in the US, but his optimism is tempered by the reality that the future of Syria remains uncertain. While Assad's departure represents a victory for human rights, the rise of extremist factions like HTS and the threat of further fragmentation remain major concerns. US President-elect Donald Trump, never one to hold back his opinion, also weighed in and found rare common ground with Biden in criticizing Russia's failure to prevent Assad's collapse.
Russia, because they are so tied up in Ukraine, and with the loss there of over 600,000 soldiers, seems incapable of stopping this literal march through Syria, a country they have protected for years. This is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment of protecting the red line in the sand, and all hell broke out, with Russia stepping in. But now they are, like possibly Assad himself, being forced out, and it may actually be the best thing that can happen to them.
Trump's comments highlight a rare moment of unity between him and Biden, both using Assad's fall to settle scores with Russia. Though divided on many foreign policy issues, both leaders criticized Russia's inability to secure its interests in Syria.
This is a historic day for the Middle East. The collapse of the Assad regime, the tyranny in Damascus, offers great opportunity, but also is fraught with significant dangers. This collapse is a direct result of our forceful action against Hezbollah and Iran, Assad's main supporters. It set off a chain reaction of all those who want to free themselves from this tyranny and its oppression.
For Israel, the collapse of Assad's regime represents both a moment of celebration and a cause for concern. Israel has long been a vocal critic of Assad's alignment with Hezbollah and Iran, both of whom pose significant threats to Israeli security. In response, Israel has escalated its involvement, taking decisive action to secure its interests. Israeli tanks crossed into Syrian territory for the first time in 40 years, establishing a strategic buffer zone to prevent spillover violence. Israel also launched airstrikes against Syrian targets, including a security complex and government research center suspected of being used by Iran for missile development.
It's inadmissible to allow the terrorist group to take control of the lands in violation of agreements which exist, starting with the UN Security Council Resolution 2254, which strongly reiterated sovereignty, territorial integrity, and unity of the Syrian Arab Republic, which condemned any attempts by terrorists to disturb the life of Syrians.
Moscow, a long-standing supporter of Assad, has maintained a position of silence, following the regime's collapse. While its focus remains on Syria's sovereignty, Russia's influence over the country's future appears to be waning as Iran and Hezbollah move to fill the power vacuum left behind.
We have no eye on any country's land, not even a pebble. As Turkey, our wishes for our neighbor Syria to swiftly achieve the peace, stability, and tranquility it has been yearning for over the past 13 years.
Turkey's reaction to Assad's fall is measured, with Ankara acknowledging the complexity of the situation. While long opposed to Assad, Turkey now faces the growing threat of extremist groups in northern Syria, particularly Kurdish militants aligned with separatist movements in Turkey. As tensions rise along its southern border, Turkey has reiterated its commitment to Syria's territorial integrity, but its evolving role in the conflict may require recalibration in response to the shifting dynamics.
What was surprising was the Syrian army's failure to counter the offensive, and also the speed of the developments. That was unexpected. We have repeatedly advised the Syrian government to engage in talks with the opposition and finding a peaceful political solution to the differences. That political process was not progressing as well as expected. Mr. Bashar, Assad's government had little flexibility and speed in that regard. The Syrian army failed to carry out its duty. We were never supposed to replace the Syrian army in resolving their domestic affairs or fighting the opposition.
Iran, Assad's principal backer, has criticized the Syrian government for failing to address the opposition and make progress on a political solution. Iran had urged Assad to engage with opposition groups, but the lack of flexibility from Assad's government derailed the process.
Look, I'm very pleased that Assad has gone. I think we should all welcome that. It was a brutal regime imposed on Syrians for far, far too long. So it is good that he's gone. That should be welcome. But it is important now that we stabilise, that we reject violence and terrorism, and that we all work towards a political solution to this, a political settlement for the future of Syria and, of course, for the region.
The UK's reaction reflects its long-standing criticism of Assad's regime. With Syria in turmoil, the focus has shifted to promoting stability and working towards a political settlement amidst the complex web of interests at play in the region. Following the collapse of Assad's regime, reports indicate that the Syrian leader is now in Russia, seeking political asylum. As Syria's future remains uncertain, Assad's departure from the country and his asylum in Russia only add to the complexity of the region's evolving geopolitical landscape. With Assad's departure, Syria's future is now uncertain. The actions of regional players, particularly Israel, will be pivotal in shaping the country's trajectory. The coming months will determine whether Syria descends further into chaos or if a new order can emerge from the ashes of Assad's regime.